Welcome to my channel. That's part 3. What if Naruto was the grandson of Madara Uchiha? Let's start. Help me. Sakura looked closely at her Sasuke-kun. Her eyes opened wide as she watched Sasuke struggle his way towards her. The horror. His body was battered and bruised. It was also pierced with several kunais. She rushed over him trembling. Her heart was beating faster than normal. Sasuke dropped to the ground. Sasuke-kun, she thought as she stopped in her tracks as tears began to rush off her eyes. She felt as though her heart had stopped beating. She screamed loudly at the thought that Sasuke was dead and fainted. Kakashi, looking from a distance, could only sweat drop. The girl had just fallen to an easy D-rank genjutsu. She was supposed to be smart, and should have detected the genjutsu easily. Maybe I should have used an A-rank genjutsu, he thought. Kakashi shrugged and went away to find his next victim. Sasuke did not spare the girl a second glance. He really did not care what happened. She was a nuisance and annoying. With her out of the he could have a better chance of getting a bell. If she was still active, she would no doubt get in his way and become a burden to him. He wanted to get the bell and pass the test. His quest could only be fulfilled if he became a shinobi. No one was going to stand in the way of his quest. Pathetic, Naruto thought, looking at the fallen girl. It was clear that the girl was caught in a simple genjutsu that she had been unable to detect. Naruto could only guess what the girl had seen to make her faint. Whatever it was, it had something to do with Sasuke. Sakura was not fit to be a ninja. She was book smart, but that did not make a shinobi. Skills and dedication made a ninja. Sakura had none. All she cared for was looking good in the eyes of her Sasuke-kun. If the girl ended up being a genin with her current mindset, she would certainly become killed in her first mission if her teammates don't carry her over their shoulders. Naruto jumped off the tree he was in and made his way towards Kakashi. There was something about the test that was hidden. A genin team in Konoha was composed of 3 genins and a jonin. There was no team in Konoha that was a group of 3. Even the Ambu squads were made out of 4 members, one being captain. Konoha preached teamwork to their shinobi. The objective of the test was in contrast to that motto. Despite them not being an official team, they were still a team, and fighting for themselves to get the bell did not promote teamwork. Also, it was not possible for academy graduates to defeat a genin. A thought came to his mind. They were not expected to defeat the jonin, but work together as a team. They were a team and were expected to work with one another in missions. Sasuke and Sakura would never agree to work with him. He wanted to have some fun, and he would have his fun by fighting with Kakashi. He could not beat Kakashi, but the jonin was surely going to underestimate him. He also had the element of surprise. He would take the advantage of that. He was stopped from going after Kakashi because Sasuke beat him to it. Naruto jumped up to a tree again. He could see what the last faithful Uchiha could do. It would prove certainly interesting if the Uchiha was just not full of arrogance. Sasuke made his way towards Kakashi. He had a confident look on his face. He felt confident about his chances of getting the bells. He was different from the others. He was an Uchiha and best in the academy class. He was considered a prodigy of his age. "I'm going to get those bells," he said arrogantly. Kakashi looked at him once, then looked back to his book. His response to the proclamation annoyed the hell out of the Uchiha. It was like the jonin was taking his challenge as if it was nothing, not worth his time. He hated anyone who felt as though they were superior to him. He rushed towards the jonin at his full speed. Kakashi was slightly surprised by the speed the young Uchiha was showing. He did not put away his book though. He waited for Sasuke to come at him. Sasuke jumped and brought his right fist, trying to punch Kakashi on his face. Kakashi blocked with his free hand. Sasuke was quick to use his other hand. He forced Kakashi to dodge his punch. Sasuke engaged the jonin again. He attempted to sidekick the jonin, but Kakashi blocked his attack. Sasuke did not stop. He brought out his other leg, trying to kick the jonin. Kakashi was again quick to block again. Shit, I can't read my book like this, Kakashi thought. Sasuke brought out his left hand, trying to punch Kakashi in the chest, but the jonin blocked again, frustrating Sasuke. But he did not give up. His left leg moved faster than before, heading straight at Kakashi's waist. Kakashi caught Sasuke's leg, but was not given the chance to do anything as Sasuke moved with impressive flexibility. He tried gutting the Jonin with his left hand. Kakashi was up to the challenge. He caught Sasuke's hand with his other hand. Sasuke had expected as much. His free hand moved for the bells hanging on Kakashi's belt. He did enough to almost get them, but Kakashi let go of him and jumped back a bit. He looked at Sasuke. The boy was certainly good for an academy graduate. With his taijutsu, he could actually beat seasoned genin. He rushed at Sasuke, catching Sasuke off guard by his superior speed. He spun around and kicked Sasuke in the chest. Sasuke flew back but recovered quickly and landed on his feet. "You certainly are good, better than most genins," Kakashi commented on Sasuke's skills in taijutsu. He was certainly skilled and Kakashi was impressed by the young Uchiha. Sasuke did not react to Kakashi's words. He was a little angry that he was not able to get the bells. What was more troubling was that he was unable to land a hit on the Jonin. Jonins were really strong. They were unlike any other shinobi. But he still had an ace in his pocket. He smirked and inhaled large amounts of wind. He held his hands together near his mouth as he muttered his jutsu. "Fire release, great fireball no jutsu." He breathed out a large fireball that sped toward Kakashi. This was ace. The Jonin would have been expecting him to do that. He would certainly burn the Jonin with his jutsu and get the bells. Kakashi had wide eyes as he looked at the jutsu. An academy graduate should not have that much chakra to do the jutsu, he thought. It was a surprise to him that Sasuke could do the jutsu at such a young age. He quickly replaced himself with a log to avoid him being burned. Sasuke smirked in victory seeing his sensei burned. He ended his jutsu. He looked at where Kakashi was standing to see a banned log. Replacement, he thought as he gritted his teeth. Earth release, projection fish style no jutsu. Kakashi did his jutsu while he was underground. He pulled Sasuke to the ground. Sasuke cursed as he felt his feet being dragged down the ground. He was unable to stop being dragged into the pit. Kakashi got out from the ground and appeared in front of the buried Uchiha. Sasuke was buried, with only his head being the only part of his body left on the surface. He glared at Kakashi angrily. "Get me out of here," he demanded. He felt embarrassed by being caught so easily. He was stuck in the pit and could not move his feet or legs. "Sasuke-kun," a screeching voice of Sakura stopped Kakashi from responding. Kakashi looked at the pink-haired girl wondering when she had woken up. Sakura ran towards Sasuke. "Sasuke-kun," she cried out trying to pull Sasuke from the pit. She was unable to do anything, as she was weak to do anything to begin with. Kakashi just watched the girl struggle, his face showing a bit of amusement at what his eye was seeing. Sakura got up tiredly and glared at Kakashi. "Kakashi-sensei, get Sasuke-kun out of here now," she yelled at her sensei. Kakashi raised a brow. He did not think that the girl could be capable to doing something like that, standing up for Sasuke even if it was against someone stronger than both of them. She could not do anything to him, but here she was demanding that he pull Sasuke from the ground. Sakura saw that Kakashi was not going to do anything and sighed dejectedly. She sat down next to Sasuke. "Don't worry Sasuke-kun, I will get you out of here," she said, trying to make Sasuke happy. Sasuke did not bother to look at the girl. He just continued glaring daggers at Kakashi, who blissfully ignored all the daggers. Kakashi realized that one of the genins was missing. Naruto was watching from afar. Sasuke was not that bad for a genin, but he expected to see more from an Uchiha. He jumped from the tree and walked calmly towards the others. Kakashi noticed him and looked back at the blonde. Naruto still had his impassive gaze on. Sakura was the first to say something. "Naruto, come and help me free Sasuke." Naruto ignored her and looked at Kakashi. He took a taijutsu stance which Kakashi was similar to the Uchiha interceptor style. "Shall we dance, Kakashi-sensei?" Naruto said impassively. Kakashi raised a brow but nonetheless continued reading his book. He had taken it out after he had subdued Sasuke. To anyone he might not look like he was ready, but Kakashi was paying attention to Naruto. Naruto disappeared in a burst of speed and appeared in front of Kakashi. Fast, Kakashi thought with wide eyes. He had never seen an academy graduate move that fast, never in his life. He expected Naruto to surprise him, but this was too much for a surprise. Naruto's right hand rushed at Kakashi. But Kakashi was quick to get over his shock. He was fast to react. He blocked the blow. He felt a tiny bit of the power behind the punch. He hits like Guy but at a smaller scale. Kakashi thought. Naruto brought out his right leg and attempted to kick Kakashi on his left side. Kakashi raised his knee to block the attack. He quickly put away his book because he now knew he would get embarrassed by a genin if he continued reading the book. Sasuke gritted his teeth in anger. Naruto was moving far faster than he could and seeing better than he was. Kakashi brought his right leg trying to hit Naruto. His foot connected with Naruto's hand. He retrieved his leg and brought it back again at Naruto. This time he spun around for more speed and power. Naruto brought out both his hands to block the attack. The power behind the kick was enough to force him back a feet away from Kakashi. This dance should be entertaining, Naruto said just enough for Kakashi to hear him. Kakashi looked at Naruto straight in his eyes. He seems to be happy, and calls a fight to dance. He must really love the thrill of a good fight, Kakashi said looking at the blonde. There was no smile but he could see a bit of excitement in Naruto's eyes. Kakashi got into his own stance. Naruto seemed to be good in taijutsu and his speed was impressive. He had to seriously fight if he was going to evaluate Naruto's strength. Naruto got back into his stance. He knew he could not beat Kakashi, but fighting against someone who could match and surpass your every move was something he could not miss. Both he and Kakashi disappeared from view and clashed in a taijutsu fight. Naruto attempted to kick Kakashi in the face, but Kakashi bended back to avoid being hit. Naruto spun around balancing himself and not giving Kakashi enough time to attack him. Spinning around he brought his right foot trying to gut the jonin. Kakashi caught the blow and held Naruto's foot firmly with both his hands. His right foot moved fast and crashed into Naruto's stomach sending the blonde flying away. Kakashi did not give Naruto the time to recover. Within seconds he was already in front of Naruto. He attempted a right hook which Naruto was quick enough to block. Naruto jumped away from the jonin. He rushed at Kakashi again. He tried crashing his foot into Kakashi's ribs but the jonin jumped back. Naruto did not stop. He dashed at Kakashi and jumped up. He appeared above Kakashi. His right foot was crashing down with speed and power. Kakashi did not attempt to block. He replaced himself with a log. Naruto's foot connected with the log, breaking it in half. Sasuke was now feeling jealousy towards Naruto. Naruto was faring well against a jonin, while he could not do anything. He could not even get the jonin to fight him seriously, but Naruto was able to. Naruto was just a dead last. What could have changed for the blonde to be better? Naruto landed to the ground and stood still. His eyes narrowed to where Kakashi was. The jonin was within the trees. He disappeared off to the trees. Sasuke and Sakura could not see anything since their teammate and sensei were fighting within the trees. But they could feel that the fight was still going on. A few seconds later both saw their sensei flying back into the clearing. A second later Naruto appeared above the jonin and attempted to pummel the jonin to the ground. Kakashi could not dodge but was able to bring out both his hands to block Naruto's punch. The power of the attack was enough to sending Kakashi crashing down the ground even though he had blocked the attack. A small crater was formed where Kakashi had crashed. Naruto jumped away from Kakashi allowing the jonin to recover. Kakashi got out of the crater and rushed at Naruto in great speed that should make him invincible to a genin. He appeared in front. Naruto was not fast enough to react as Kakashi's fist crashed to his gut making him grunt at the effects of the powerful punch. Kakashi did hand seals and held his hands together close to his mouth doing the same jutsu Sasuke had used on him earlier albeit bigger than Sasuke's. Fire release, Great Fireball no Jutsu. Naruto disappeared fast to avoid being hit by the jutsu. Kakashi ended his jutsu having sensed that Naruto had been able to dodge. Naruto was now a distance away from where he was previously. You are far better than I thought, far better than Sasuke. I don't think there is a genin in Konoha that can beat you. But I must end this now, Kakashi said, but before he could do anything the alarm rang signifying it was noon. Kakashi sighed and motioned for Naruto to follow him to the rest of Team 7. Kakashi freed Sasuke, who could not stop glaring at Naruto with clear jealousy. Naruto had been able to hit a jonin while he had been unable to. Kakashi gathered them and looked at each of them disappointedly. You did not get the bells, thus you failed the test. Naruto took out both bells from his pocket, making Kakashi look at his belt and then at Naruto with wide eyes. When did you get them? The time I pummeled you to the ground. Before I jumped back I had already taken the bells. You were too focused on testing my power that you forgot about the test and you were thinking I had no interest in the bells. I just wanted to fight. That made it easy for me to get them. Naruto responded. Kakashi nodded. So what are you going to do about the bells? The aim of the test was not to get the bells but to test if we could work together as a team, as three genins cannot defeat an elite jonin. I'm surprised that Sakura with all her brains couldn't figure that out. Sakura glared at Naruto for the job. It seemed like one, but Naruto was just pointing out that someone called smart like Sakura should have been able to figure the meaning of the test. Kakashi noticed that fact because Naruto's face remained impassive and there was no amusement in his voice. If you knew that, why did you not try to work with your teammates? Isn't it obvious? None of them would have been willing to work with me. Sakura's only concern is Sasuke. While Sasuke thinks he does not need help and can do everything on his own, and his pride would not allow him to accept help from anyone. Kakashi had to agree with Naruto. But Naruto should have tried to talk to them. Naruto is right, the purpose of the test was teamwork. I could give you another chance to work together, but since Naruto has the bells and I was not supposed to fail you, I guess I will pass you, he said, making Sakura and Sasuke sigh in relief. Naruto threw the bells back at Kakashi. Kakashi caught the bells. You can go now except for you, Naruto. We will meet tomorrow at 9 AM for a team meeting. Both Sakura and Sasuke left, but not before Sasuke glanced at Naruto. The Hokage's office, I presume, Naruto said, to which Kakashi nodded. Hokage's office. The Sandemi stared deep into Naruto's blue eyes. He found nothing from the blonde. His eyes had nothing, they were just devoid of any emotion. He never thought he would see Naruto's eyes like that. Naruto knew that the Sandemi wanted to ask questions about the transformation. He was not going to answer any questions he did not want to answer. No one forced him to do anything he did not like. Naruto, what happened to you? The Sandemi asked, breaking the silence within the room. I don't understand the question, Naruto said. He certainly did not understand what the Hokage meant. He could only guess, but guessing was not the right way to go if the person who asked the question was there to clear the question. The Sandime narrowed his eyes at Naruto. This was not the same Naruto he knew. Last week you were not like this, he said, not really wanting to say what exactly had changed in Naruto. My physical appearance and attitude, you mean? The Sandemi nodded. I am afraid I cannot answer that question. For now anyway, he responded coolly. Why? Because Hokage-sama, it is something I don't want to reveal. Naruto, why don't you want to reveal such information? What are you hiding? Don't you trust me? It is not a matter of trust, and it is that I just don't want to tell you, and I think I am entitled to my secrets. The Sandemi stared at Naruto sternly, but Naruto was not affected by it. Naruto, I don't understand why you are being like this, but I don't like you keeping things from me. You are an important part of the village and everything you do I must know of it. Ironic, isn't it? You don't like me keeping things from you while you have been doing just that my whole life. Naruto said, sounding almost amused, but he was far from being amused. The Sandemi and Kakashi tensed just when Naruto uttered those words. Naruto saw them tense. You thought I would not find out? I know everything, Hokage-sama. The Sandemi looked at Naruto with shame and guilt. Naruto was used to seeing the look from the old man. It was like the old man wanted him to see the guilt and shame. He did not understand if it was what the old man wanted him to see or he felt guilt. The Sandemi could be two-faced sometimes. He brushed off his thoughts. The Sandemi had to know he knew things that he had been keeping from him. It was not going to do anyone any good if he just kept it to himself. He did not hate the old man for keeping things from him, but he hated that when the old man found that he too was keeping things from him, he was quick to show that he was displeased. You know of the Kyuubi? It sounded like a question, but it was not. Yes, and about my mother. Hiruzen Sarutobi nodded. Only your mother? I also know about the man responsible for my birth. But he never was my father. The only parent I had was my mother. Kakashi and the Sandemi looked at Naruto with wide eyes. They did not expect Naruto to reject Minato as his father. It only meant he hated Minato for sealing the QB inside of him, condemning him to a life of hatred. Naruto, I'm sorry for not telling you about your parents. Your father had so many enemies, we feared that they would come after you to kill you as you are a namikaze, the Sandemi said sadly. As I said, Minato was not my father. I suggest you don't call him as such. Your reasons are nothing but excuses. You know full well that it was either I was killed by the villagers or the assassins. Have you forgotten what they used to do to me on my birthdays? The Sandemi failed to meet Naruto's gaze. How could he argue with what Naruto was saying? His life was already in danger by the villagers. It was a miracle that he had survived all the brutal beatings he had received in the hands of the villagers. I still am sorry, Naruto, for failing to protect you. I never hated you, Naruto said. I don't believe there is anything more that needs to be discussed now. I will be taking my leave, he said, disappearing from the office. Well, that went well, Kakashi said. The Sandemi shook his head. No, nothing went well for us anyway. Everything went the way Naruto wanted it to go. He never answered any of my questions. We don't know who trained him and who told him about his heritage and the QB, and I believe he has more secrets. You have to keep an eye on him, Kakashi. Find out what he is hiding. Kakashi looked at the Sandemi. I thought you were going to leave it as it is. Won't he tell his secrets when he is ready? Maybe he might, but we cannot wait for that. Naruto was able to fool the whole village, even me, for the past few years. Who knows what kind of secrets he is hiding? You do know that if he finds out that you sent me to spy on him, he might never forgive you. That is something I am willing to accept for the good of the village. The Sandemi replied, lighting up his tobacco pipe. If Naruto was hiding things that could make him a threat to the village, they had to be found out soon. He was also not sure if Naruto was loyal to the village with what he had gone through in his life, and the transformation only made him more suspicious of Naruto. While the two talked, they never noticed a pair of yellow eyes recording their conversation. Shinobi District. Naruto walked calmly inside an apartment block. He was looking for apartment number 38. It was the apartment he had rented and was going to move into. He climbed stairs looking for the apartment until he found it. He entered his new home and breathed in the fresh air within the apartment. He could almost smile, but at the moment he had to unpack and put in the furniture he had bought outside the village from one of his travels with Zetsu. Naruto took out several storage scrolls from a small bag he had been carrying. The apartment had 2 bedrooms, a bathroom, kitchen and a sitting room. He had all the furniture for all the rooms. He made 10 wood clones to help him unseal his things. He started unsealing the couch for his sitting room and the large flat screen. By the time he finished putting everything in his sitting room, his clones were finished with their duties. Naruto had them dispel. He heard a knock on the door. He went to open, wondering who it might have been. No one for now knew where he was leaving. Naruto opened the door and looked at a purple-haired woman. Her hair reached down her waist, brown eyes and a shade of red lipstick. She was with another woman he recognized as Yuhi Kurenai. What can I do for you? Naruto asked calmly. Naruto? The purple-haired woman said, looking at him with slightly wide eyes. Naruto recognized the voice. Neko, he thought. She was an Ambu who had been once assigned to watch over him. Are you familiar with him, Yugao? Kurenai asked. Yugao smiled slightly. Sort of, she said. Sorry for disturbing you. We had noise like things were being moved and decided to check what it was since no one lives in this apartment. Naruto nodded. The noise must have been me. I was putting my furniture in order. You are going to be leaving here? Yugao asked. Naruto nodded. What happened to your previous home? Nothing, he said dismissively. Yugao nodded. Kurenai smiled at Naruto. Well, it seems you and I will be neighbors, she said as she and Yugao turned away from his door. Naruto closed his door and walked back to his sitting room. He found Zetsu already sitting there. It appears you were right. Zetsu said. Naruto had sent Zetsu to spy on the Sandemi, knowing full well that the old man was capable of anything he set his mind on. He does not trust you. I expected as much from him. He may feel guilty for lying to me, but he can see that I get dealt with should I be a threat to the village. The Sandemi might be old, but he can be cold, cunning and manipulative when he wants to be. Naruto said. Who did he send then? Your sensei. Naruto nodded. We will see what Kakashi will discover about me. He said, I have to admit the old man is truly brave, to have someone spy on me just after the talk I had with him. Naruto said, what are you going to do about it? Nothing. They can look all they want but can never find out. Away from his door, Naruto closed his door and walked back to his sitting room. He found Zetsu already sitting there. It appears you were right. Zetsu said Naruto had sent Zetsu to spy on the Sandemi, knowing full well that the old man was capable of anything he set his mind on. He does not trust you. I expected as much from him. He may feel guilty for lying to me, but he can see that I get dealt with should I be a threat to the village. The Sandai might be old, but he can be cold, cunning and manipulative when he wants to be. Naruto said, who did he send then? Your sensei. Naruto nodded. We will see what Kakashi will discover about me. He said, I have to admit the old man is truly brave, to have someone spy on me just after the talk I had with him. Naruto said, what are you going to do about it? Nothing. They can look all they want but can never find about my secrets unless I want them to. Naruto said confidently. 6 months later, Team 7, Naruto never felt at peace within the team. There was always someone watching over him, a pair of eyes that always stared at him. It annoyed him to no end. There were a few times that he had even thought of killing someone because of the constant watchful eyes that always tailed him like his own shadow. It felt like he was a criminal by being always watched. It was not just Team 7, it was everywhere he went within the village. There was always someone watching him like a hawk. Konoha did not trust him. He was seen as a flight risk. Naruto figured that the council had taken notice of his transformation and were not going to take any chances with him. It was clear that no one trusted him because he refused to tell them anything. Even when they had tried to force him to talk, he still had no fears. They could not touch him. The feeling he was having now was the same his grandfather felt when Konoha had been formed and Hashirama was made Hokage. His grandfather was not trusted, they could never make him leader. Without the trust of the village, even from a clan he led, Madara was forced to defect from the village. It was now the same with him. Konoha refused to trust him, because he kept things from it. He really hoped that it did not end the same way with him as it did with his grandfather. It would make his goals hard to achieve but not impossible. His skills in taijutsu were not what they feared. No, they feared the things he was hiding. They came to a conclusion that he was hiding his true strength. That conclusion made them even more suspicious of him. They could not understand why he would hide his true strength. They thought he was hiding his true strength because he was planning something. They could not believe that it was for the good of the village, because if it was for the good of the village he would not have to hide it. That was what they thought. Naruto had not intentions of harming the village in any way. His grandfather had founded the village along with Hashirama. His grandfather was the one to have named the village. It was only fair that he inherited it since it was founded by his grandfather. He could not go around destroying things that his grandfather had built. Despite the constant watch he was under, Naruto had no fears of his secrets ever being discovered by someone. The only reason Naruto did not have any fears was because he knew that they would never find anything from him unless he was careless. But with the constant watch he could not train anywhere or do anything private outside of his own apartment. His apartment was the only place that gave him the privacy he needed. But he was sure of it, sooner or later they would bypass his security seals. He was by no means a seal master. The security seals are what he had been taught by his grandfather. They were not perfect, but they did their job. He could converse with Zetsu and even at times leave a clone while he goes away to the hideout to train. With Team 7, he had to worry about Kakashi, who always had his eyes on him. Even when they were on missions, the Jonin paid too much attention on him than his other students. Kakashi was taking his job seriously than Naruto had thought the Jonin would. He never made the mistake of leaving Naruto alone. No, if he was going somewhere and it was during Team 7 activities, the Jonin would leave a shadow clone to with Naruto. But the Jonin was friendly and valued his team as part of his family. This values made Naruto question why Kakashi would choose to spy on one of his comrades. When the Sandemi had told him to spy on Naruto, Kakashi spied, but not as seriously as he was doing now. Naruto thought that the council had taken part in that change. The fools were capable of anything, especially Danzo and the two advisors. If there were people to kill, it would be 3 elders. There was also Uchiha Sasuke and Haruno Sakura. The two just annoyed him to no end. Sasuke was obsessed with fighting with him. Every time he got the chance to demand that Naruto fight him, he would take it. Naruto never fought with the young Uchiha. He always refused to fight the Uchiha. Naruto hated fighting pointless battles. There was nothing he would gain from fighting the Uchiha. Despite his love for a good fight, Sasuke was not worth his time. His refusals always infuriated Sasuke, and he would always attempt to hit Naruto whenever he was not looking. Naruto had better reflexes and would always dodge the attacks without hitting the young Uchiha back. Another person that caused him headaches was Sakura. Despite his attempts to ignore the girl, she would not just stop talking. Naruto was sometimes tempted to put the girl in a genjutsu. He would make the girl kill herself and she would be gone from his life. She hated him because he was better than Sasuke. No, she refused to believe that he was better than Sasuke. What she did was yell at him for trying to be cool and better than Sasuke. She would always tell him to stop trying to make Sasuke look bad. Despite all the problems in Team 7, the team was almost perfect when it came to teamwork. It was all that Kakashi taught them, and they were better at it than any other genin team. They did their missions better than any other rookie genins. Over the past months they had done a lot of missions. But only two stood out, the mission in the Wave Country and mission in which they were protect Kuyoki Kazahama. The Wave mission had been their first mission, and ended up being an A-rank mission because they had encountered an A-rank missing Inyong, Zabuza Momochi and his accomplice Haku. Sakura had been a burden in the mission and basically did nothing useful. What she did was to tremble in fear at the thought of dying in her first real mission. They were protecting a bridge builder from a man named Gatu. Team 7 did succeed the mission and managed to get Gatu killed despite the odds being against them. Sasuke had awakened his Sharingan during the battle in the bridge. It made him even more arrogant now that he had finally awakened the Uchiha clan bloodline. It made the Uchiha feel superior to anyone, thinking that no one could match the power of the Uchiha eyes. The mission to protect Kuyoki was also a success. They went to the snow country on the mission and found out that Kuyoki was a real princess. The team had thought she just played a princess in movies. Her country was being controlled by her uncle, who had killed her father to take over the country. The woman at first had been refusing to accept her role as princess of the country, but after her uncle was killed, she finally decided to become ruler of the snow country. Naruto had been thinking of a better way to reveal some of his secrets to Konoha to get them off his back. Revealing some secrets would get them to lessen the number of shinobi they have following him. They would not need to have him watch 24/7 since they would have found out what he had been hiding from them. He would have more space to breathe and more privacy than he currently. He was patient and would wait for the right time. Rushing into things had its consequences. He would rather not have to deal with those if he could just wait a little more. Naruto was walking calmly towards Training Ground 7 alone. Looking around the village, he had come to notice that some of the villagers had stopped glaring at him. They had lost their hateful looks, but not all of them had. Some still did glare at him, but they had lost the intensity they used to have before he was a genin. The kind of change surprised him. He did not understand what had made them stop glaring at him. He did not think that it was because he looked like their dead precious Yondaime. Naruto was so consumed by his thoughts that he was not paying attention to where he was going. He ended up bumping into someone who also seemed to have been lost in thoughts. Likely no one was hurt since they were not moving at a fast pace. Naruto fathered himself and looked at who he had hit. He noticed that there were 3 people in front of him. The one he had bumped into was glaring at him. He was a boy at his teens. "What, where you are going, brat?" the boy who Naruto had bumped into yelled. He wore a black bodysuit and black shinobi sandals. His face was painted with face paint. He wore a Sunagakure for head protector. He had something strapped behind his back that Naruto could tell what it was. It did not seem like a weapon or anything he had seen before. Naruto was not going to apologize to the boy. He had never apologized to anyone before, and he was not going to start now. Their Suna shinobi was glaring at him like he could actually beat him. He was underestimating him because he was younger than him. Naruto ignored the Suna shinobi's words and looked at the other 2 in front of him. There was a blonde-haired girl. Her hair was tied into 4 pigtails at her back. Her eyes were light green. She had a battle fan strapped behind her back. She was slightly taller than the boy in the black bodysuit. She wore a light purple dress that showed her well-developed breasts. There was a shinobi fishnet under her dress and her dress was short. It revealed some of her body. Her forehead was tied on her neck. The last one seemed younger than the others. He seemed to be at the same age as Naruto. He had short spiky red hair. His eyes were blank with a dark tint. On top of his left eye there was a tattoo with a kanji for love. He had an emotionless look on his face and gave off a feeling bloodlust. He had a god behind his back. The 3 were Sunagakure shinobis. The blonde and the red-haired just looked at him while the black-haired in a black bodysuit was enraged at that Naruto had ignored him. He brought out his right hand and grabbed Naruto by his shirt. "Don't ignore me when I'm talking to you, you little shit." Naruto narrowed his eyes dangerously at the teen. This was something he could not forgive. One did not touch him like this and got away with it. Yes, he did hit the teen, but it was not intentional. He was lost in his thoughts, so was the teen. "Kankuro, what are you doing?" the blonde-haired girl barked. The now identified Kankuro did not even bother to look at her. He just grinned. "I am trying to teach this brat to respect those older than him," he said. Before anyone could do anything, Naruto drove his fist into Kankura's stomach. Kankuro let go of Naruto and clutched his stomach while gritting his teeth. "That hurt," he said under his breath. "That is what happens when you act like a fool. And now you are embarrassing our village by your foolishness." A cold voice of the red-haired spoke, making the blonde and Kankuro tense. Looking at Kankuro, he seemed scared of something, and it was like he had forgotten the presence of the red-haired. "Sorry, Gaara," Kankuro said. Naruto wondered why he was apologizing. Even the girl seemed to get nervous when Gaara spoke. But the name Gaara brought those thoughts to a halt. He knew the name, Sand Siblings. "I should have recognized the children of the Yondeimi Kazekage," Naruto said impassively. "Subaku no Gaara, Jinchuriku of the Ichibi," he said, making the eyes of 2 of the Sand Shinobi wide. "Subaku no Kankuro and Subaku no Temari, the eldest of the Sand Siblings," he said, and narrowed his eyes at Kankuro. Gaara smiled. It was a creepy smile. It was as if he was imagining Kankuro being fed his own hand. "Next time you touch me like that, I will cut off your hand and feed it to you," he said darkly, making Kankuro gulp at the threat. "If it was not that you are a guest to the village, I would have killed you for your foolishness. You don't try to attack someone without even evaluating their strengths," he lectured, walking away. "What is your name?" Gaara asked in his emotionless voice. Naruto stopped and looked at the Jinchuriku. "Uzumaki Naruto, I shall see you at the exams, Subaku no Gaara," he said, and disappeared from the view. Gaara grinned madly, making his siblings look at him fearfully. They knew that kind of smile. It was the kind of grin he always wore when he was thinking of crushing someone with his sand. They feared that kind of smile. They could only feel sorry for the blonde should he meet Gaara in the battlefield. Training Ground 7, Chunin exams, Naruto thought. He had forgotten about them. Zetsu had informed him about them. He thought that it was why Kakashi had called them today. They had been on a break from their previous missions. It was not yet over. With the exams coming, it would prove difficult for him to hide his secrets from everyone. That is, if he meets someone he could not defeat in a taijutsu fight. Though he knew that no Mere Genin or Chunin could defeat him in a taijutsu fight, villages could always send Jonins in the Chunin exams. Naruto brushed off his thoughts. His taijutsu was superior to most, even some Jonin's taijutsu was inferior to his. His speed gave him a great advantage against most opponents. Sasuke and Sakura walked side by side towards the training ground. Looking at them, they always came together at the training ground. Well, not always together, but most of the time. It was like they lived in the same house or were neighbors, but they were none of that. It was a mystery how they could arrive at the same time at the training ground most of the time, whereas they did not live together. They could only make it together if Sakura knew which road Sasuke took to the training ground, but knowing Sasuke, he would have changed the road he took upon seeing that Sakura knew the way he used for the training ground. Sakura always knew where Sasuke was. It was like the girl had sensing abilities that only worked on Sasuke. Sasuke glared at Naruto before looking away. It was nothing new to Naruto. It was either Sasuke demanded that he fought with him or he just glared at him and looked away. Naruto preferred to be glared at than having Sasuke demand that they find. That way he did not have to deal with the Uchiha. They did not wait for too long in the silence because Kakashi had decided to make it in time for the first time. Not even the fact that Naruto would leave the training ground after waiting for an hour for the Jonin had probed him to arrive in time for team meetings. It was a surprise to the whole team. Yo, Kakashi greeted his students with his eye smile in place and the ever-present orange book present in his right hand. What is wrong, Kakashi-sensei? Why are you not late? Sakura said in a low tone. Kakashi smiled. Nothing is wrong. Is it that surprising that I am on time? No one answered the question. Sasuke got down to business. Why did you bring us here, Kakashi-sensei? I thought we were still having his time off. Can't I just bring you here so that we can get together? We are a team after all. Kakashi said, flipping a page in his book. Sasuke glared at him. Kakashi sighed at the Uchiha's attitude. Fine, I brought you here because I have some good and important news that I want to tell you. He said, taking his eye off his book. Sasuke stopped glaring at him, wanting to know the important news the sensei had for them. Then let's hear it. Naruto spoke for the first time since Kakashi appeared. Kakashi gave them a wide-eye smile. I have nominated you for the Chunin selection exams, he said. Sasuke smiled at the news. It was a great opportunity for him to test his powers against other strong genins he would surely meet at the exams. Naruto's face remained impassive while Sakura looked unsure. Kakashi took out 3 pieces of papers, handed each to his students. If you are want to enter the exams, the choice is yours. But if you do decide to take the exams, take the forms with you to the academy at room 301 tomorrow at 8 am. He said, Kakashi-sensei, are you sure we are ready to take the exams? Sakura said, not sure if she really wanted to take the exams. She knew she was not strong to take the exams. Kakashi nodded. If I did not believe you were ready to take the exams, I would never have nominated you. I believe that you are ready, you just have to believe in yourselves. He said, smiling. Remember, it is a personal choice. No one will force you to take the exams if you decide not to take them. But I must warn you, if you do decide to take the exams, you might find yourself facing against strong genins like Naruto or someone strong like Haku. I'm sure you do remember him. Well, Jane, he said, disappearing in a puff of smoke. Sakura paled at the thought of facing someone strong like Haku. Haku had almost killed Sasuke. She could not possibly go against someone he was able to defeat Sasuke. Sasuke was strong and cool. If she was to face someone stronger than him, she would certainly be killed. She looked at Sasuke, who was smiling. It was a true happy smile. She did not want to disappoint him. She could enter and finally show him that she was strong and not weak as he always said she was. Sasuke looked at Naruto with a small smile. I hope you enter the exams because I really want to fight you, Naruto. He said, going away with his smile still in place. He was holding the form firmly as he did not want to lose it. The Chunin selection exam was a good chance for him to test the power of the Uchiha. Sakura also walked away with a lot in her mind. Naruto looked at the form and sighed. The exams were going to be nothing but be troublesome for him. He sighed and walked away to clear his thoughts. Hokage Monument. It was sunset and Naruto was enjoying view up in the Hokage Monument. He had managed to get the shadows that always followed him to follow a clone while he got some breathing space. He did need the time sometimes, a time where nobody was watching him, recording everything he did. He felt annoyed when he sensed someone coming to him. He did not want to talk to someone at this time. He turned around to see an old man with a cane. His right hand was wrapped up in bandages, and his left eye was also bandaged. He had an X-shaped scar on his chin. Shimura Danzo, Naruto said, I was wondering when you would appear before me. Looking at the bandages, he felt disgusted knowing what the old man was hiding under those bandages. Danzo was another person in his must-kill list. He was also a threat because he desired to be Hokage. The old man loved to be in control of Konoha. But he was going to be patient and let the old man play for now. Danzo's face was impassive as he studied Naruto. Kyuubi, he thought. He did not see a person when looking at Naruto. No, he saw the Kyuubi, a weapon that must be under his control. He only could make it powerful and program it to fight for the village. The Sendaime had been a fool in refusing him to take the boy. He could have trained the boy so that he could become a loyal weapon for the village, not someone who was a flight risk. The village seems peaceful looking at it from here, isn't it? He said, trying to see how the blonde would respond. He could not get into serious business without having an idea of the kind of person the blonde was. He had reports from his route Ambu, but to confirm everything he needed to see it himself. It is lovely, but get to the point. I do not think you came here to talk of such trivial things. Naruto said. Danzo nodded. I have a proposition for you, he said. Naruto narrowed his eyes at the old man. Danzo was looking at him with cold and calculating eyes. I have no interest in joining your route forces, Danzo. In fact, I have no interest in associating myself with you, he said firmly. If Naruto knew of his route, which was a secret that only those in Ambu knew, the boy must know some more secrets. His route was an S-rank secret, not even some jonin knew of it. His route is thought to have been disbanded, but it was still operating underground. In official reports it was not, but he was still running his division. I see out suspicions were right about you. How do you know of my route division? He asked curiously, wanting to see if the boy would give him something. Your route is not much of a secret, but what you with your route is what is the secret that no one outside your division knows, he said. But Danzo, I am not a threat to the village as your people perceive me to be. Danzo now saw a threat in Naruto. The boy spoke of what his route activities like he knew what they did. It was not good for him. Anyone that did not agree with his ideals was a threat to him and his goals. What troubled him most was that he did not know the capabilities of the blonde. The fact that Naruto was a Jinchuriku made him a threat if he was not working with him. But he was a patient man. Naruto was still young. He was bound to make crucial mistakes that would cost him. He would be ready to capitalize and get the boy to work with him. The power of the QB was needed to further his plans. If all else failed, then he would have to eliminate the boy. Danzo turned around to leave. My offer to join my cause still stands. I can make you great and teach you how to control the power of the QB should you join me, he said, and disappeared. Naruto sighed. It went better than he had thought it would. He did not reveal much to the old warhawk. Danzo was capable of doing anything. He would not be surprised he sent his route to capture him. The old warhawk had a way of controlling people, but he did not fear that, because of his grandfather and his Sharingan, he could resist any hypnosis. No one could control him with a Sharingan. Zetsu appeared from the ground. It was just his head only. Naruto looked at him. How long have you been here? Long enough to hear everything you said to Danzo, Zetsu replied. Since you were here, did you have a white Zetsu spore attached to Danzo? Naruto asked. He thought that Zetsu might have just done that knowing that Danzo was a threat. Yes, I figured that you might want me to do something like that. Good, that man is slippery. You can never know what he will do next. With Zetsu's spore on him, I will know everything he does, what he says, and who he meets. I do not want that old man to surprise, Naruto said. When are you going to make a move against him? In time. Right now I am not strong enough to start with my plans. Everything will be in motion once I get strong enough, Naruto said. Staying the way you are and in the village is not helping you become strong, Zetsu pointed out. Naruto nodded, agreeing with Zetsu. I know that. I will think of something after the exams, he said. The academy. Sasuke and Sakura were waiting for Naruto at the academy entrance. Sasuke had no doubt that Naruto would show up. Sakura was the one had thought would never show up for the exams. The girl was weak. Yesterday she did not seem too sure of herself that she would enter. It did not take long for Naruto to appear. The blonde was still in his black attire, but had a sword strapped behind him. Sasuke looked at him curiously. You know how to use a sword? He asked. Yes, but I'm not good at it. It is just useful in dealing with annoyances. Both his teammates knew that he meant weak people by annoyances. Naruto had brought his ninjutsu because he refused to get his hands dirty with bloodstains of weaklings. A sword could do the job for him without dirtying him. Sasuke shrugged. Let's go inside, he said, turning around to face the academy doors. Both his teammates followed him behind. The academy was full of activities. Naruto was not interested in anything, though he just wanted to get over with it. The only person that interested him was the Sand Jinchuriku. The others would just be annoyances that talked more than what was necessary. At least he did bring his sword with them. The team walked inside the academy ignoring everything else that was taking place. They wanted to get to the room they were told to by their sensei. It was of no benefit to them to get into other people's business. They were stopped when a green blur appeared in front of them. The boy in front them wore a green jumpsuit. His forehead protector was worn as a belt on his waist, and black shinobi sandals. He had thick eyebrows and shiny black hair. He looked at the boys, then at Sakura. He smiled at her and gave her a thumbs up. "You must be Haruno Sakura. I am Rock Lee." He introduced himself to the pink-haired girl. Then he blushed slightly. "Will you go out with me? I will protect you with my life," he said. Sakura was quick to speak. The boy was lame. His jumpsuit, hair and everything about just seemed wrong. No," she said. "I belong to Sasuke-kun," she thought to herself. Sasuke seemed disappointed at her answer. He had hoped that the girl would accept Lee's proposition and leave him the heck alone, but seems that it was not to be. Lee seemed disappointed at the rejected and brightened up slightly. He looked straight at Naruto's eyes. "You are Uzumaki Naruto, correct?" Naruto nodded. "Gai-sensei told me that you are the best taijutsu user out of all the genins," he said. "Fight with me. I would like to see if you really are good. I'm a taijutsu specialist. If I want to be the best, I must beat what is considered the best." Naruto looked at the genin in front of him for a moment before speaking. "As much as I love to dance, I have no interest in taking part of a pointless dance." "Dance?" Lee said confusedly. Sakura sighed. Naruto referred fighting as a dance. Never has she once heard him say the word fight. It was always dance with him. "He means to fight," she answered, Lee seeing his confusion. When it sank in his head, Lee took a taijutsu stance. "I'm afraid I must insist," he said. Naruto knew the boy was not going to take no for an answer. He really hated being dragged into a fight he did not wish to take part in. He looked at Lee for a second, then disappeared in a burst of speed. Despite Lee being in a taijutsu stance, he was not expecting Naruto to attack him. He was also not expecting Naruto to move at the speed he moved at. He could only move at the kind of speed without his weights. Naruto wore no weights, he only wore them when he was training. Now Lee found himself wide-eyed. Naruto's sword was on his neck, poised to pierce it. He could not do anything at the situation he was in. Naruto's knee was down on the ground as he needed to get low to get into the position he was in. He was in front of Lee with his sword raised. Everyone who saw him was shocked at his speed. Sasuke gritted his teeth. He hated seeing Naruto look strong. He hated admitting it that Naruto was faster than, stronger than him. Even with his Sharingan activated, he had only increased his strength by a few miles, but it was nothing compared to Naruto. "I refuse," Naruto said firmly. Lee nodded slowly. "Good," Naruto said, retrieving his sword. He sheathed it and walked past Lee, causing his teammates to follow him behind. They had an exam to take. Sasuke glared at Naruto's back. With his fist clenched, he had tried so many ways to surpass Naruto, but he still failed to do that. He needed more power to surpass Naruto. If he could not defeat Naruto, then there was no way he was going to be able to defeat Itachi. He needed to beat Naruto first, then he would be able to defeat Itachi. Team 7 walked towards room 301 in silence. They reached the doors and were stopped from opening the door when Kakashi appeared between them and the door. Kakashi's eye smile was in place, as well as his orange book, Make Out Paradise. "Kakashi-sensei, what are you doing here?" Sakura asked, looking at her sensei. Kakashi was a little surprised that Sakura had decided to enter the exams. He looked at Sasuke. Sasuke was the reason the girl entered the exams. If Sasuke was not in her team, she would never have entered the exams. With the look he saw on her face yesterday, it was truly a surprise that she decided to come. "I should not be surprised," Kakashi thought to himself. There was really nothing that Sakura would not do for Sasuke. He sighed and closed his book. "I'm glad that you all decided to take part in the exams," he said, "but to be honest with you, the Chunin selection exams can only be taken by a team of 3. For example, if Sakura had decided against taking part in the exams, Naruto and Sasuke would have been eligible to take part in the exams. Sakura felt relieved that she had decided to take part in the exams, or she would surely have disappointed Sasuke. She had no doubt that Naruto was going to participate, but that would not have mattered had she decided against participating in the exams. Sasuke would have been upset with her had she stood in the way of him taking part in the exams. She looked at her sensei. Why did not you tell us that yesterday? I wanted everyone to participate on their own choices, not because they were forced to. If you had decided not to take part in the exams, Sasuke would have forced you to enter. He replied, earning a nod from Sakura. She knew it too well. Sasuke would have forced her to enter the exams. She was not sure how Naruto would react if she had chosen not to enter, but thinking of it, Naruto might have cared either way. Sakura, don't allow yourself to be a burden to your teammates, Kakashi said firmly. Sakura nodded. She had always needed to her teammates to carry her. Even Naruto did look out for her at some times, even though she knew he didn't give a damn about what happened to her. Well then, good luck, Jane, Kakashi said as he disappeared in swirl of leaves. Even though Sakura was weak, he was not a bit worried about her, for he knew that her teammates would look out for her. Naruto stepped forward and opened the door, and his teammates followed him as he entered room 301. The moment they entered the room, they were greeted by killing intents from different directions. Sasuke shrugged it off, even though it made him a bit uncomfortable. He had come across killing intents that made him want to kill himself, so this was nothing. Sakura held her hands together. She was a bit scared now because the killing intents were too much for her. Pathetic, Naruto thought. Killing intents of such level did not move him. Madara had trained to withstand killing intents even from something such as the QB. Madara might have been old at the time, by one he still that had made Naruto afraid of the old man was his killing intent. The first time he had experienced a dose of it, he had fainted because it had been pressing him down like nothing he had ever felt before. Such things had made his killing student frightening for mere genins. Another thing that had made it frightening was his grandfather's DNA. Naruto possessed a bit of Madara's chakra. He did not let it leak because he did not want to scare anyone. There were a lot of genins in the room. They had not expected the participants to be in the exams. There sure are a lot of them, Sakura commented, earning a nod from Sasuke. It did not matter to Sasuke though. He was happy. So many participants meant he would have more competition. Sasuke-kun, you are late, Ino yelled as she jumped on Sasuke's back, placing her head on his shoulder. It was obvious that Sasuke was annoyed by the girl's actions. One would see it because the Uchiha's eyes were twitching. He was not the only one who was annoyed by Ino's actions. Sakura was displeased. She grew a tick mark on her forehead. Ino did not see Sakura. She was busy with her Sasuke. It has been long since we last saw each other, Sasuke-kun. How have you been? Ino asked. If Sasuke was going to respond, he never got the chance to do so. Get away from Sasuke-kun, Ino pig. She yelled angrily as she marched to get Ino off Sasuke. There was only one girl for Sasuke, and that girl was her, not Ino. Ino took notice of Sakura's presence in the room. She had not seen the pink-haired banshee. Her eyes were only on Sasuke. She looked around and saw Naruto with arms crossed on his chest and a bored look on his face. He is kind of hot, she thought with blush. She looked back at Sakura and smirked. If it isn't big ugly forehead, Sakura, I thought you would be at home playing makeup, she said. Sakura grew another tick mark on her forehead. Ino was making her look bad in front of Sasuke. She could not tolerate something like that. No, it was unacceptable. You guys are taking the troublesome exams too. This is so troublesome. A lazy voice of Nara Shikamaru spoke, knocking Sakura off her thoughts. Naruto looked at the genin and did something that shocked both Sasuke and Sakura. He smiled at Shikamaru. It was a small smile, but a smile nonetheless. They had never seen him smile since the formation of Team 7. His face was always impassive or with a bored expression. Sakura stared at Naruto. Sasuke-kun, did Naruto just smile? She asked. Surprisingly, Sasuke responded with a nod. Ino looked at them confusedly. Is it that surprising to see Naruto smile? She asked, looking at the two. Both ignored her as they got over their shock. Shikamaru gave a small nod to Naruto before answering Ino. I guessing it is shocking to them because they had never seen Naruto smile during their time in Team 7. He said, earning a nod from Ino. I found you, Kiba yelled as he made his way to the group. Looks like everyone has assembled, he said as his teammates joined the group from behind the genin. Shino still had his impassive expression while Hinata like, well Hinata. She greeted the group and started to poke her fingers as soon as she laid her eyes on Naruto. A pink tint appeared on her cheeks. Naruto noticed but shrugged it off. He was not the only who noticed in the group. Not you guys too. Has become too troublesome, Shikamaru said with a sigh as he looked at teammate. Yeah we are. And guess what? Kiba said. Together we make the rookie 9 of Konoha. He yelled, not hiding his excitement. Akamaru barked in agreement to his master's words. This is the first time in years that rookies took part in the Chunin selection exams, and we are the ones to do it, he said, showing that he did read a bit of history. You seem rather confident, Kiba, Sasuke said with a smirk on his face. Kiba snorted. Of course I am confident, he said. We did a lot of training since we became genin and we won't losing to the likes of you like we did in the academy. He said, confident that he could beat someone like Sasuke. Sasuke snorted. There was no way someone like Kiba would take him down. Kiba was saying what he was saying because he had a mouth to speak. Naruto looked away from the group as he sensed someone coming close to the group. You guys should be quiet. Aren't you the rookie genins? I silver-haired genin said as he approached the group. The group took a look at him. The genin had silver hair, his eyes were small and black in color, and he wore large round glasses. He had a Konoha forehead protector tied on his forehead, signifying that he was a shinobi from Konoha. He wore dark purple pants with a shuriken holster on his right hip, dark purple shirt and black shinobi sandals. He looked to be in his early 20s if not late teens. You are screaming like schoolgirls. This is not a picnic, he said, earning glares from some of the genins. Who the hell do you think you are? Sasuke said, feeling insulted by the genin's remark. It was damning to his pride to be called a schoolgirl. Me? The elder genin asked, half surprised. I'm Kabuto, but I'm not the one you should be worried about. Look behind you, he said. The rookies looked behind them to see pissed off genins staring at them. Naruto did not bother to look around. They could stare at him all they liked, he would not care. It was not like they could do anything to him. Most of the genins felt nervous because of the glares that they were receiving from the other participants. It was like the whole room was against them. Ino and Sakura paled seeing the glares. If there was a bed somewhere in the room, they would rush over to it and hide under it. Hinata was quick to get behind Kiba. She was using Kiba as her shield. Naruto looked at Kabuto with an unreadable expression. There was definitely suspicious about Kabuto. Those guys are from the village hidden in rain. They have short tempers. You may want to keep your voices down to avoid making them angry, Kabuto said, looking at the rain genins. The rookies looked at the rain genins. They indeed looked like trouble. Their glares were enough to make the female rookies shudder. Well, I guess I can't blame you. You are clueless rookies after all, he said as he glanced at Sasuke. Naruto noticed this. It was not the first time Kabuto looked at Sasuke with interest. Sasuke was unaware of the glances Kabuto was giving him, but Naruto could tell that Kabuto took interest in Sasuke. Well, I guess you guys do remind me of myself, Kabuto said in mirth. So this is your second time taking part in the exams? Sakura asked with a bit of hesitant. No, this is my 7th time actually. The Chunin selection exams are held twice a year, so this also makes it my 4th year taking the exams, Kabuto replied with a small smile. Kiba whistled. The exams must be hard if a person can fail them 6 times. Naruto raised a brow. 7 times taking the exams, thought. He could not have failed so many times unless he was doing it intentionally. He could not see how anyone would fail the Chunin exams 7 times. Even someone with half brains could not fail the exams so many times. Since you guys remind me of me, I will show you what I have gathered for the exams, he said, taking out a deck of cards from his pouch. These are Anyong info cards. I have gathered information on every participant in the exams. Do you have information on individuals? Sasuke asked, clearly interested. You are worried about someone? Kabuto asked with a smirk, looking at Sasuke. My info is not perfect, but it's not the same as having nothing, he said. Just tell me the name of the person and I will tell you what I know about the person, Kabuto said, pushing his glasses up, something that seemed to be a habit of his. Give me information on Uzumaki Naruto, Sasuke said. The other genins were clearly interested in learning something about this transformed Naruto. Naruto looked at Kabuto. wondering what Kabuto had on him. Kabuto nodded and began to read one of his cards, Uzumaki Naruto Genin from Konoha. He graduated as a dead last but changed afterwards. Nobody really knows what happened. He is in Teen 7 along with Haruno Sakura and Uchiha Sasuke, their Jonin sensei being Hatake Kakashi. Naruto has completed 15 D rank missions, 1 C rank mission, and 2 A rank missions along with his teammates. He specializes in taijutsu. His speed is said to rival that of a Jonin and can defeat some Jonins in a pure taijutsu fight. Kabuto read, "Hey, when did you guys get to do A rank missions?" Kiba asked. Of all what Kabuto had read to them, the fact that Team 7 had done A rank missions was more important to him more than info on Naruto. No one in Team 7 answered his questions. His information is accurate, Naruto thought. The info Kabuto had on him was the same as the one that Konoha had on him in their records. "Can you give me information of Subaku no Gaara?" Naruto spoke for the first time since he entered the room. He had all the information he needed on Gaara. He just wanted to see what Kabuto had on the Jinchuriku. Kabuto nodded. "Subaku no Gaara, Genin from Sunagakure. His sensei is Baki. Teammates are his siblings Subaku no Temari and Kankuro. Gaara has done 15 D rank missions, 7 C rank missions, 5 B rank missions, 3 A rank missions. In all his missions he has never been hurt. He comes back without an injury. He has a sand defense that protects him. It is said that his sand defense is the ultimate defense. His ninjutsu is based on sand only. His taijutsu is poor, and genjutsu." Kabuto read out, looking the expressions of the Genins. Most of them were sweating cold. A Genin who goes on an A rank mission and comes back without an injury was someone they did not expect to come across. Kabuto smirked at their reactions. Even Sasuke seemed a little over the edge by the information he read. He looked at Naruto. Naruto showed no reaction to what he had read, like the blonde already knew everything. Nothing I don't already know, Naruto thought. He had information on every Jinchuriku. It was important for him to know all the information, as he would have to deal with them one day as his years progressed. For him to get Tobi to come after him, he would have to disrupt the man's plans. Getting to the Jinchuriku before Tobi was the best option he could take. Thinking of Gaara the Jinchuriku could prove to be a good challenge for him. He would surely like to test this so-called ultimate defense that Jinchuriku is said to have. "I will tell you the contestants you should avoid in The." Kabuto spoke but was cut off by Naruto. "There are no other strong contestants. The rest are weak. They are nothing but annoyances," Naruto said a little too loud. All the contestants heard him, but Naruto did not care if they did. A team of sound Genins did not take Naruto's words kindly. They were going to show Naruto who was weak. "Let's show the blonde that we are not weak," one said in a rough voice, earning nods from his teammates. They were about to charge at Naruto when a puff of smoke was born within the room. "I will not accept that kind of behavior in here, got that?" A figure that was one with the smoke that had been born within the room said, sternly glaring at the students. He leaked out a dose of his killing intent to make his point. The killing intent prompted the Genins to nod vigorously. The figure smiled. "All right, you maggots, take your seats now," he said in a firm voice, making the Genins hurry up to take their seats. The Genins took each of their assigned seats and looked back at the man in front of the room. "I am Morino Ebike. I am the proctor of the first test of the Chunin selection exams." The proctor introduced himself to the Genins. "Those who do not follow my rules will automatically fail," he said as he released a burst of ki, scaring some Genins in the room. "The first test will be a written test," he said as Chunins began to drop papers in front of each cited Genin. "The rules of exams are as follows, and there will be no questions asked," he said with a commanding tone, releasing his ki to make it clear that he was serious. He tapped the chalkboard in front of the Genins and the rules appeared. Chunin selection exam test rules. Rule 1. Test takers start off holding a perfect test score of 10 points. The test itself has 10 points. For each question answered incorrectly, a point is deducted. Rule 2. The test is a team event. The passing score of each team is calculated by adding the scores of each team member altogether. Rule 3. Those caught cheating will have 2 points deducted for each offense. Rule 4. Those who lose all their points or do not answer any question correctly will fail along with their teammates. All Genins read from the board. Some looked at their teammates to see if they were prepared. If Naruto was still stupid, Sakura would have been worrying about Naruto. But she had nothing to worry about. He was smart enough to pass the test. She did not have to worry about Sasuke either. I expect nothing but the best from Genins trying to become Chunin. He paused, looking at every Genin in the room. You will only answer questions 1 to 9. The 10th question will be answered after we finish the first 9. The exam would be for 45 minutes. Begin. He yelled the last part as the Genins flipped their papers. Naruto looked at the questions and raised an eyebrow. Had he not been reading different books and scrolls ever since he was 6, he would never be able to answer any of the question. He was thankful that Madara had brought him all those books he had brought for him to read. The questions were difficult, but he could answer them. He was sure that not even some Chunins could answer the type of questions that are within the papers. It only meant that they did not expect all of them to pass. Naruto thought for a moment before narrowing his eyes around the room. Sasuke had his Sharingan activated, copy others' movements. He was doing well. If it was not for the fact that he had been hiding his dojutsu, he would have surely doing the same as Sasuke just to make things interesting. He looked at room and seemed like most are cheating. Information gathering, Naruto thought, looking at the Genins who were cheating. He concluded that they are accepting the Genins to cheat without getting caught. It was a test to see if one had information skills. Such skills were useful for missions. Naruto did not have to worry about having to acquire such skills. He had Zetsu to do it for him. But that did not mean he did not learn a thing or two from him. He did learn a few things so that he could look for information himself whenever Zetsu was unavailable to do it for him. Because gathering information would involve breaking into officers' private buildings, one has to be discreet. Such acts would get one killed should they be caught in the act. The Hyugas had their Byakugans activated. The Byakugan was a useful tool for something such as gathering information because of its ability to see through solid objects. They did call it the all-seeing eye. Hinata looked to be checking him out. He figured the girl might have been looking to see if she could help him since he had not yet answered any questions. He sighed and began to answer the questions. A few Genins got caught cheating, which resulted in them being thrown out of the room. They were thrown out because they had been denying that they were cheating the exams. If one's teammate got caught, it meant it was all over for the whole team. Something like this could break and make a team. The others could blame the one who got caught for their failure. Which would be true. Had he not been caught, they would never have failed the exam. But some would help each, seeing that their teammate lacks in information gathering skills. The 45 minutes was over and Ibiki stopped them from answering any more questions. We will now begin with the 10th and final question, he announced, making everyone look up to him. Now before we begin, I should tell you that there is an added rule to the question. Now this rules are of desperation. He paused to let the words sink into their heads. The first rule is whether or not you will take the question, he said, making the Genins look at him confusedly. Temari, Naruto recognized, asked a question for everyone. What will happen if we choose not to take the question? She asked curiously. If you choose not to take it, your points will be dropped to 0 and you will fail along with your teammates. He spoke. Then we take the question, a Genin yelled out, standing up from position. The other Genins nodded in agreement with him. Another rule is associated with this question. If you take the question and answer it incorrectly, that person will lose the right to become Chunin ever again. Ibiki stated with a serious tone, making them believe that he was dead serious. Well, apparently Kiba did not get it. He shouted his thoughts. What kind of stupid rule is that? There are people who have taken the exam multiple times right here. He shouted, pointing at Kabuto, who had told the rookie 9 that he had been taking the exams for the 4th year now. Ibiki smirked. You guys are just unlucky. This is this year's rule. Some Genins began to look at their teammates, trying to figure out what they were going to do. Whether take the question and risk being unable to become a Chunin should they fail. Naruto just sat there looking calm as always. But I am a nice guy, he said, getting the attention of the murmuring Genins. I am giving you a chance to choose whether to take the question or not. He paused for a moment to let them think. I have to stay calm and follow the lead teammates, Sakura thought to herself as she looked at Sasuke and Naruto, who both looked calm. Ibiki continued. Now let's begin with the 10th question. Those who do not wish to take the question may raise their hands, and once their numbers have been confirmed they may leave. Silence engulfed the room as everyone was in their thoughts. I can't take it. A random genin said as he stood up and began to leave the room. His teammates were behind him. Some also raised their hands. There were quite a number of them who left because of fear. Naruto just shook head at their actions. Fear was really strong to use. The numbers died down and almost half of the participants had left. And then people stopped raising hands. Naruto looked at Sakura. She seemed to be calm, which was good. He would have hated if she was to rise up her hand and get them disqualified. He needed to test the Ichibi's Jinchuryu's power. I will repeat this once. Your whole life is riding on this, and this is your last chance, he said, giving the genins a last chance to quiet the test. None raised their hands, they just looked at the proctor with confident looks. He looked around that were left and sighed. 27 teams. Anko was not going to be happy about it. Good decision. To everyone still remaining here, I would like to congratulate you on passing the first test of the Chunin selection exams, Ibiki said with a small smile. Silence engulfed the room. They were shocked at what the man had just said. What about the 10th question? Temari shouted. There is no 10th question, Ibiki said as he began to explain what he had done. It was that Chunin captains had a responsibility to take missions. When facing with the decision on which mission to take, you might get a mission you have no info about. You would have to gather information. You also cannot refuse a mission simply because it is too dangerous. The type of thinking, we will do it again next year, was not a mentality of a Chunin. Naruto sensed someone approaching the window fast. By the looks of things, the person was going to crash into the window. The windows shattered and the genin looked to see a banner that read, "The sexy second exam proctor Mintrashi Anko. All right brats, there is no time for celebrations. I am the second exam proctor, now follow me." The female standing beside the banner yelled. She had violet hair, her eyes were brown. She wore an overcoat, with a fitted mesh body that stretched from her neck to her thighs, and a dark orange mini skirt. The genins got from their seats and followed her. They followed her till they reached a fence. Behind the fence was the forest. It gave all bad vibes to the genin. They were signs of danger all over fences. It signified that it was a dangerous place. Anko had a too sweet smile upon seeing the forest, as if she was familiar with it. Naruto knew the woman was always at the forest of death playing with her snakes. It was creepy. This is Training Ground 44, also known as the Forest of Death. It will be the stage of the second Chunin selection exam, Anko said with a grin. This place gives me the creeps, Sakura said. She had never been to the place, but the weird feeling she was feeling about it was enough to creep her out. Naruto was beginning to get bored now. They should have just let them go into the forest without telling anything. Those who did not know the forest would see that the forest was like with their own eyes. He really did not have to listen to someone explain to him something that he already knew. You will find out soon why this place is called the Forest of Death, she said with a smirk. The genins gulped, some shuddered. They did not hope to find out why the place was called a Forest of Death. Naruto could tell that Anko liked to plant seeds of fear within the hearts of other people. Before we start, I would like you to sign these papers, she said as she held a paper in her hand. The genin looked at her curiously. In this test there will be killings, and I don't want to be responsible for your deaths, so you have to sign these waivers. The genin looked at her, some thinking they should quit. They were going to do the second test in a place called a Forest of Death, and now there was going to be some killings in the forest. It was too much for some genins. I will explain the test before you sign the waivers. This test will be a survival test. The Training Ground 44 has locked gates, a river, forest and a tower at the center. From each gate there is about 10 kilometers until the tower. She paused for a moment to let them digest her words. In this training ground you will compete in an all-out, no-rules scroll battle. Each team will be given one heaven or earth scroll. For a team to pass, you have to present both heaven and earth scrolls to the tower in the center of the training ground. There is a time limit. You have only 5 days to get into the tower with both scrolls to pass the test. If you arrive after 120 hours, you will fail the test. There is not quitting once you enter the training ground. You will in there for 5 days. she said to the listening genin. What about food? Choji asked while eating snacks. He was worried that he would have to be trapped in the training ground without barbecue and chips. The forest is full of food. All you have to do is avoid man-eating bugs, poisonous insects and plants. The genin shuddered at the thought of being eaten by bugs. The forest was indeed a scary place. The forest will be full of enemies, so if you get to the tower faster with both scrolls you will avoid enemies. She paused for a moment before going on. Now let's get on to who gets disqualified. The first I have already told you, which is not being able to get to the tower with both scrolls and in time, she said as the genin nodded. Second is those who lose a teammate or a teammate gets killed. Lastly, you must not open the scroll before you reach the tower. As Chunin, you be expected to courier important documents. This will be a test to your trustworthiness. She finished her explanation to the genins. Come on now and take the waivers and sign them, she said as the genins went over to her and took the waivers to sign. Some were hesitant to do so, but everyone cinched them and handed them to Anko. She had given each team their scroll, but did it in a way that no team would know which team held an Earth or Heaven scroll. This would avoid a team going to a specific team. It would also cut down numbers because a team would take a scroll from another team they have defeated even though it is the same as theirs. She did not tell them that, they did not need to know it. Final word of advice, don't get killed, she said with a maniacal grin that had the genin think that she wanted them to kill each other. Each team went away to their assigned gate and got ready for the second test. The Forest of Death Team 7 entered the welcoming mouth of Training Ground 44. Death and all its friends sang songs that boomed inside their heads. Darkness ate all the light within the forest. One could only imagine the horrors the trees have had to witness within the forest. The breath within the forest was cold as it invaded Sakura's body, causing the girl to shiver. She could only hope that Sasuke felt the same way as she did and give in to the temptations that the cold breed brought forward. She would surely love having to heat her body with Sasuke's. She would surely cherish the moment. She looked at her teammates and sighed disappointedly. Both her teammates seemed to not feel the cold breath that the forest breathed into her. She was sort of hoping that Sasuke would be feeling it so she could get close to him and feel the warmth of his skin. It was not going to happen, though she could only dream. Because her teammates were walking as if the forest was not scary, she was forced to banish the coldness that had invaded her body. As the coldness obeyed her command, she felt a bit sad that a chance to get close to Sasuke had just passed away. The white eyes of the forest stared at him, trying to intimidate him. He could almost laugh at the pitiful attempt to make him give birth to fear. He had gone through a lot of horrifying things in his 13 years of life. Such a thing as a forest that was associated with death did not scare him. Even death itself did not scare him. The only thing he was failing to achieve his dreams. Naruto looked at his teammates as they slowly walked within the forest. Sasuke seemed fine, but Naruto could see a bit of excitement from the Uchiha. The atmosphere of the forest could make anyone who enjoyed a good challenge feel a ting of excitement invading their bodies. Sakura, on the other hand, seemed too sure of herself. They had yet to make plans on how they should proceed in the forest. Ever since they touched the belly of the forest, they had yet to speak. Naruto did not mind the silence. He would rather have the silence than to have Sakura spouting nonsense. Sasuke stopped walking, getting his teammates to follow his lead. He seemed to have lost all his excitement, and the cold, emotionless gaze that seemed to be part of his face had returned from its vacation. We should make plans here, before we go any further into the forest, he said, looking at both his teammates. We should stay together as a team and not separate. I can take care of myself, but if I were to separate myself from you and you happen to come across another team, Sasuke won't be able to protect himself and you, he said, looking at Sakura straight in her eyes. We should just go ahead straight to the tower. I am sure we will come across a team while we head to the tower. Sakura had no objections to what Naruto had said. They would have to be together till they reach the tower. She felt a little sad that Naruto had pointed that she needed to be protected by her teammates. She was not that weak. Sasuke nodded, but still, what if we reach the tower without coming across another team? He asked. Then we'll hunt a team to get what we want. Now let us move on. Naruto said. His teammates followed him behind. The plan was simple and it would have them get to the tower faster. They were given a maximum of 5 nights to get to the tower, but one could get to the tower in the second day of the exams. Sasuke wanted to fight someone he had yet to fight anyone since the exams, but this test gave birth to a chance for him to fight someone. He would have to make sure that he did not leave the forest without testing his power against genins from other villages. The team walked for a few hours. Day was already calling for night to take over its reign. They had to clash with another team. They had been walking on a rather relaxed pace. It was something that was done with the thought of Sakura in mind. The girl had a low stamina, running for an hour, and he would have forced them to take a break. It was better to just walk for the day, that is tomorrow. They would quicken their pace to ensure that by the end of the day they had reached the tower. They could worry about getting the scroll they needed while they made their way to the tower. Naruto, who was in the lead, suddenly stopped and motioned for his teammates to do the same. He looked at his left side. There were 3 dark shadows that had been following them for the past hour. He had sensed them the moment they started to shadow them. He thought they would go away, seeing that Team 7 had its guard always on. He knew they had been waiting for an opportunity to present itself and they would try them. "What is it, Naruto?" Sakura asked the blonde. "Some annoyances that won't go away have been following us," he said. "They should come out of the shadows now that they have seen that we have stopped." He set his eyes at the girl. Despite the fact that they have only been walking, the girl looked like she would not last 2 minutes in a fight. "What's the plan?" Sasuke asked with a smile. They always got together well when they planned against their enemies. Everyone cooperated. Even Sakura valued Naruto's opinion. But after the mission was over, they would be a completely different team. "Sakura should stay behind. You and I will remove the annoyances." It was not a plan. Naruto never made a plan against someone he knew he could beat without much trouble. Sasuke nodded. Sakura was not a fighter in their team. It was best to let her stay behind so that she does not become a burden while they fight. It would be troublesome to let her fight, as they would have to constantly check if she was faring well in her fight. It was something Sasuke would rather not have to do. They did not wait for too long as 3 shadows dropped from the trees and stepped closer to them. The one in the middle had a huge grin on his face, charging by their forehead protectors. The 3 were genin from Omegakure, the village hidden in rain. "I see you have finally noticed us," the boy in the middle said, clearly the leader. He looked like he was amused by that fact that they had been noticed. Sasuke scoffed. "We knew you were following us all along," he said. Well, he did not know they were following, but Naruto did know, and that was what mattered the most. Naruto was part of their team, so it Naruto knew they all knew about. The smirks on the aim genins did not falter. They stayed in place, like the news did not surprise them. "Oh, it does not matter though. Surrender the scroll and hand us the girl," the leader of the aim genins said with a malicious grin, looking at Sakura. Sakura shuddered at the grin. She brought her hands over her chest, trying to comfort herself. She was thinking of what would happen to her if she got taken by the aim genins. They would surely do unspeakable things to her body. A body she so cherished and has been taking care so that Sasuke would do what he pleased with. 25 Sasuke smirked and got into a stance. "We will be the ones taking your scroll, and if you want to get to Sakura, you have to go through us first," he said. Naruto sighed in annoyance. He really hated fighting people he would beat. But since the aim genins seemed serious about fighting, he would play with them. He did not bother to take his taijutsu stance. He walked towards the aim genins, getting Sasuke to follow him. "Who wants to dance with me first?" They did not answer quicker than Naruto wanted them to. "Forget it," he said, and dashed forward in Chunin speeds. The aim genins stood in their positions as if Earth had brought out her hands and held them firmly. Naruto appeared in front of the genins, so did Sasuke. He kicked the leader on the face, sending him flying away and turning his attention to the other. Sasuke stared at his opponent with a smirk. He felt excited. I hope you liked the video. If you liked the video, then please subscribe my channel. See you in next part. Take care.